Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. Just going to give this a second to make sure that everything's working properly. All right, I am unmuted. Perfect. All right, thank you so much for coming. So today's audio event is called Tame Overwhelm, 4 Powerful Strategies for More Calm, Focus, and Time for What Matters Most. What prompted me to do this event is that so many ambitious women, and I'm including myself here because I struggled with this for a very long time too, are feeling time poor, so freaking overwhelmed. And like what's truly important for us to live a life that is meaningful is being sacrificed, despite how much we plan our days and try to be productive. This is a common result of trying to do it all, be available for everything, and say yes to everyone. The truth is, we've been conditioned to get better at doing it all rather than getting better at doing what's actually important. Think about how many times you've heard someone say, "Whoa, she's incredible. She never stops. I don't know how she does it all. And she's always happy." You may have even heard yourself say this a few times, right? We are so conditioned to see this as a positive thing. This is actually a goal for so many of us, right? Whether conscious or unconscious, we want to be praised in exactly this way. Sadly, our society praises the exact thing that is making us feel like shit. But the problem is, we don't consider what this incredible woman who does it all is really feeling when the lights go off at night. We don't consider that she feels lost. We don't consider that she feels disconnected from herself. We don't consider that her health may be failing. We don't consider that she actually feels quite unsatisfied in her life. I know that this woman would be much happier if she could get better at doing what's essential, what's most important, rather than trying to constantly figure out how to be available for all of it. And I know that because I used to be that woman. And I've also worked with many of these women. There's a great quote by Oliver Berkman in the book 4,000 Weeks where he says, "Getting better at processing your email is like getting faster and faster at climbing up an infinitely tall ladder. You'll feel more rushed, but no matter how quickly you go, you'll never reach the top." This is a beautiful analogy that illustrates what happens when we try to get better at doing more rather than getting really freaking choosy with what we actually do. There are so many things that we focus on getting better at and more efficient at that are simply not going to end in our lives, like our emails, the dishes, DMs, laundry. So by focusing on these things and trying to get better at them, we're focusing on the wrong things because there's always going to be more to do. We're going to go to our graves with our to-do list. I think you could agree with that, right? Yet we're living under this illusion that we constantly need better ways of managing our time and being more productive to fit more in. The thing is, the more we try to cram in, the less effective we become, the less successful we feel, the less fulfilled we are. What we really need is to redefine what success means for us and to get back to what's most important, what's most essential in our life. So many of us approach our life in a very backwards way. And I was guilty of this for years. We leave most of the important things to chance. And we do this because we make everything important when everything cannot be. We seldom ask ourselves, what's the most important thing that I need to do in my business or my work today? The thing that's really going to move the needle forward and focus on that. We don't ask ourselves, what's the most important thing we need to do for my health today, for my relationships, for my joy, the thing that's really going to matter. And because we don't ask these questions, There's no clarity as to what's most important. And we can't protect those things because we're not clear on what they are, right? So we can't say no to others. We can't create boundaries. I like to use this analogy. Imagine that you have a glass jar, right? This represents your day. And then imagine that you have four large marbles that represent your most important things. Let's use this example. One marble represents your career, one represents your health, one represents your relationships, and one represents your spirituality. Okay, now this is just an example. These might be different for you. Now, we're going to place these marbles into the jar, which represents our day. And it's going to fill up a big chunk of our day, right? The majority of the day, the majority of the jar. But there's still going to be space between the marbles in the jar. That leftover space represents the other stuff. The often have tos, the obligations, such as making dinner, grabbing groceries, responding to emails, responding to DMs, that kind of stuff. So that's just a little visual of how we begin to make space for what really matters and to show up in our full potential, because God knows when we're scattered and exhausted, we're far from that. When we focus on what's most important for our work, focus and productivity can soar. When we focus on what's most important for our health, we get healthier and our energy expands to fuel all that we do. When we focus on what's most important for relationships, we have more loving and healthier relationships. When we focus on what's most important to make our life purposeful, we live a life filled with fulfillment. And this is truly life-changing. So today, I'm going to offer you a great place to begin. 4 strategies to tame overwhelm so you can invite more calm, focus, and time for what's really important, for what really matters for you in your life. Because gone are the days where we as women are content achieving success by any means. We're no longer willing to sacrifice ourselves for success. We want success on our terms. We want success that feels good when we reach it. And I hope that you feel that way. So if you've ever worked with me before, you know that I don't do things surface level. I'm going to go deep here with you today. So I encourage notes because there will be some actionable takeaways. My goal is to have you leave today knowing that taming overwhelm is possible for you, be inspired to take action, and of course, have clarity on what action you need to take. And there will be a Q&A at the end where I'll answer any questions that come up for you during this event. So write them down so you don't forget. All right, so now before I dive deep into the 4 pieces, I am going to briefly tell you a little bit about myself if you don't know me. My name is Daniela. I've been an entrepreneur for 20 plus years. I owned a gym with my hubby for almost 15 years. So my journey as a coach began in the fitness and health space. During the last few years of that time, I began to feel a deep calling to support women at a deeper level. This was mainly driven by witnessing my female clients experiencing exactly what I am here talking to you about today. Feeling like they had to do it all and feeling like they were never doing enough. And as a result, feeling so overwhelmed and exhausted by life. And I was not immune to feeling this way either. After years of priding myself in being really good at doing everything and being available for everyone, my body, my mind, my soul finally said, enough. Enough of the stress, enough of the overwhelm, enough of trying to do more than what you can do. And after several bouts of illness, one that landed me in the hospital for 5 days with pneumonia, I finally started to listen. This is where my journey of ditching what was not important in my life so that I could make space for what truly mattered began. It was then that I stopped chasing a version of success that left me feeling unfulfilled, disconnected from myself, and feeling like I was missing out on life. Achieving and doing everything was no longer my goal. My goal became achieving the right things and fitting in the things that were truly important in my life. This took me from living an autopilot life where I was constantly focusing on getting more done to a life with so much more meaning and fulfillment. And that's what's brought me here to you today. All right, so let's begin with strategy number 1, which is tuning inwards. So you can try a million strategies to tame your overwhelm. You can go on a vacation, you get more sleep on the weekend, you go for a spa day, you can go get an early bedtime, you can have a weekend away. But these things, while good things, are simply band-aids that don't get you long-term results unless you do the inner work first. Conquering overwhelm is an inside game. Realizing this, owning this, and doing the work is ultimately what's going to get you long-term results. Without this piece, you'll continue to fall back on old ways of thinking and doing things. So let me explain. Okay, so up until this point, you may have been repeating to yourself, I'm so overwhelmed. I'm so exhausted, over and over again, right? Day after day, week after week. And so this has become your identity. This is part of your identity, that you are an overwhelmed, exhausted woman. I love the quote by Oprah Winfrey. You don't become what you want, you become what you believe. So you may not want to be overwhelmed, but all of your daily actions are proving that you are, and that's what you believe. You are quite literally reinforcing what you believe yourself to be, the overwhelmed and exhausted woman. Now, if you're currently feeling overwhelmed, you might be thinking, I am overwhelmed. You know, it would be a lie to say anything other than that. But here's the thing. While you may currently be experiencing overwhelm, it doesn't mean that you have to put up with it. And you have the power to choose differently. Choose. That is the magic word. Another great quote that I love is by Jen Sincero. What we choose becomes our reality. That means that we get to choose something different. And you begin that by telling yourself the new reality you want to experience. In this case, I'm no longer choosing to be available for overwhelm. Make sure you write that down. I'm no longer choosing to be available for overwhelm. This is a powerful statement that we can use each and every time we feel overwhelmed. When that voice inside our head says, I have too much to do, I don't know where to begin, I'm so stressed, how do I get it all done? I can't stop, there's too much to do, I'm so exhausted, but I can't stop, I'll lose everything. I can't say no to that. What will they think? What will they say? You need a pattern interrupt, a mindset shift, one that will help you say, wait a minute, what am I talking about? I choose to no longer be available for overwhelm. How can I choose differently in this moment? This is a simple but powerful step. And simplicity is what we want, right? We want simple because complicated is just adds more to our overwhelm, right? Now, there's one important thing that we're missing here, and this is really critical. Like I said, taming overwhelm is an inside job. That same belief that you are overwhelmed, that you're an overwhelmed woman, was born out of necessity. Yes, I said necessity. At some point in your life, you realized that in order to be successful, worthy, or seen, you needed to become available for everything and everyone. If this is resonating, I feel you deeply because I was there for so many years of my life and it was exhausting. I saw my mother attempt to do it all. I saw other women in my life attempt to do it all. When I worked in corporate, I saw women trying to do it all. And throughout my career as a coach, I've seen women attempted to do it all. I use the word attempt because that's all we can actually do, attempt to. Because the reality is that we can't do it all. And in our attempt to do it all, we quite literally lose ourselves under the mounds of to-dos, expectations, and obligations that we have. Deep inside, we know that we can't do it all. Logically, we know there's only a certain amount of hours in a day. Yet, our whole lives, we have seen women around us attempt it. So doing anything else would make us a failure. Failing to be available for everything would mean that we're unworthy, that we're unsuccessful, not good enough. Seldom do we consider how unhappy and lost many of the women in our lives were, and most importantly, what they were missing out on. We just saw them just doing everything, right? And often looking like they were doing it with ease. So here, it's so important to get clear on where your limiting beliefs around your sense of worth and the belief that you need to be available for everyone and everything comes from. I encourage you to journal about this tonight. Okay, so if you haven't taken out your pen and paper yet, okay, this is a good time to do it. Is there a good girl, a busy bee, an overachiever living inside you that's keeping you stuck? What did she see growing up? What did you see growing up? What did you see the women in your life do? Clients experience so many powerful aha moments by doing this process because 95% of our beliefs are unconscious. That's 95% of beliefs that are creating the constant unproductive thoughts that are telling you you're unworthy, not good enough, not smart enough, not capable of keeping or achieving success if you don't do it all. That's insane, right? So this is where the transformation really begins. I hope you can see that. All right, so let's move to strategy number 2. And this is getting clear on what's most draining your precious energy. Now, overwhelm happens because we're focused on doing too much in the hours we have in a day. So we need to start by ditching what's sucking up our precious energy and time. And I want to be clear here because it's not just about time, because not all things we do are created equally. There are certain things that we do that drain us mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, which cause us to spend more time than we need to get back on track with what we intend in our days. So an example is, think about what happens if you say yes to an invitation that you really wanted to say no to, and you end up thinking about it for hours. You feel this resentment well up, and you just spend so much time going over it in your head, the different decision you should have made, right? Sometimes it even keeps us up at night. That one decision can derail you from everything else you intended to do in the day. So we also need to consider energy. Your energy is your most precious commodity. And what you use it for matters so much. We have been indoctrinated into a society that has taught us to be in the constant hustle and to always be available. And this doesn't leave much room to question if we're using our energy in the right things, does it? So here we need to get clarity on what you've constantly been making yourself available for that's draining your precious resource. So here are some questions that you can write down, you can ask yourself and journal about later. Do I check my email, DMs, social media first thing in the morning? Huge energy drainer. Do I have my phone notifications pinging at me all day long? Do I feel like I have to answer emails and texts as soon as they come in? Do I feel obligated to say yes to most of the requested invitations I get? Do I feel guilty slowing down or taking a break during the day, even if I'm exhausted and I know I'm not working optimally? If you answered yes to even one of these questions, then there's definitely some energy leaks happening. You are saying yes to things that are sucking you dry. And this clarity is priceless. All right, let's move on to strategy number 3, which is getting clear on what deserves your attention. So we just got clear on what's actually draining our energy. Now we're going to get clear on what is actually worthy of our energy. Okay, because conquering overwhelm means prioritizing what truly deserves a place in our day and confidently letting go of the rest. The truth is, most of us set ourselves up for overwhelm in our day. We don't have real clarity on what's most important for us. So we try to do it all. But like I said before, and like there is a finite amount of hours in a day. So when we try to do it all, we end up doing very little that is actually valuable, that actually matters. And we can't show up at our full potential when we approach our life this way. So here we're going to have to get really clear on the values. You're going to have to get really clear on your values and what's most important for you right now in your life. So ask yourself right now, what are your values? What's most important to you right now? And those are actually maybe two streams, two questions you can ask yourself. You can have like one in one row, write down what are your values and what's most important for you right now. Because depending on the season of our life, what matters most changes, right? So you can ask yourself, is it my health? Is it living a life of more purpose? Is it spending more time with my family, making more time for leisure and travel? Is it creating more passive income or launching a new program for my business? Is there a particular project that I'm most passionate about right now that I want to focus on? So only you can know what this is for you. Okay, so you need to be the one to take the step and choose what you truly want for your life. Living true to our values is life-changing, right? A lot of times, we have values, they're in the back of our mind, right? But when we look at what we're doing on an everyday basis, we're not living true to our values, right? And that sucks us dry. So when we are living true to our values, we create a life of so much more fulfillment. And it allows us to create success that actually feels good at our core. Now, I think I can make a pretty fair bet that you already know or that you already have determination, will, persistence, a shitload of it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be where you are, right? Now, the key is to redirect that determination, that will, that persistence in a new way that's going to create a new kind of success for you. One where your main focus are going to be the things that are most important to you, right? So that it feels good. Because so many of us have gone to a certain level of success and it feels like crap. We feel like crap. We feel disconnected from all of the things that we actually want in our life. We go to bed thinking, what the hell? Like, where did my whole day go? There's not enough hours for the day. I didn't do the thing I promised myself I was going to do. I didn't spend enough present time with my kids, with my husband. The list goes on, right? So we want our main focus to be the things that are most important to us. All right, strategy number 4. This is create conditions for success. So now that you've gotten clear on what's creating the overwhelm, we create the conditions to make sure that you can conquer overwhelm in your life for good. Because without realizing it, we can get used to living in conditions that drag us down. So in the first strategy, which was tuning inwards, we worked on mindset, right? And now we need to put that new mindset to work. So here you can start by asking, and you can write these down. What are some of the boundaries that I need to create that I'm resisting? What are some tough conversations I need to have? What are some changes to my environment that I need to make? This is a big one that we don't think about. Like we think it's no big deal, but where our environment is a big one. What are the things I need to ask for help with or delegate? Okay, I'm going to leave you with those. There's a lot of questions, but I'm going to leave you with those for today. So by creating this clarity, the beautiful thing that happens is you create space. You create the space that you need to start new habits and implement new tools to reinforce the change that you want in your life. Because so often there's so much resistance to doing the things that we know are going to make us healthier, happier, calmer, more focused, more fulfilled. because we haven't created the space to take action. So through these 4 strategies, we get to create the space to do the things that are actually important and feel more calm and focused. I hope that this is really resonating for you. Now, the one strategy that I didn't talk about that's a bit of a bonus here that I do want to include is support. Often when we're overwhelmed, we can actually feel held in the knowing that others around us are also overwhelmed. There's almost a comfort in that knowing, that I'm not alone in my overwhelm, right? So when we're at the point when when we no longer want to tolerate it, we're ready to step forward and not choose overwhelm anymore, it can feel really, really lonely. Like I said at the beginning, our society praises the very thing that leads us to overwhelm. So we've learned to normalize it. I remember, saying to my friends, "Oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed." And when I'd hear back, "Yeah, I know, me too." And it's just like this normal thing. It's no big deal. Right? So when I made the decision to start living differently, I purposely surrounded myself with like-minded women by joining a mastermind. And this was instrumental in creating a new reality for myself. Staying consistent and accountable was a huge game changer. So, with that in mind, I've been working the past few months in creating a program so that you don't have to do it alone. And I call it Success Redefined. This is an intimate 3-month program. It begins March 19th, first day of spring, because what better way for new beginnings and transformations? I'm only bringing 6 women to the first cohort to make sure that you get the very most out of it. And since it's the first time that I'm running this particular program, I'm running it in beta, so the price is ridiculously affordable. The 4-month program includes bi-weekly coaching calls, 3 one-to-one coaching calls with me, Voxer coaching between sessions. And in Success Redefined, we're going to dive deep into the strategies for conquering overwhelm that we've talked about here today. We're going to dig deep. You'll get clear on the limiting beliefs and habits that are holding you back, so you can begin the process of unlearning what's been keeping you stuck for years and foster new beliefs and mindset. You're going to get clear on what's currently draining your precious energy and time, both in your life and in your work. You're going to get clear on the values and what currently deserves your attention, depending on what season of your life you're in. And then once we have all this clarity, you're going to create the conditions for success, including learning to set boundaries, have hard conversations, and work smarter, not harder. And as well, we're going to dive into some life hack tools, such as cycle syncing, human design, meditation, and lots more. My guarantee to you is that within the 3 months, you're going to transition from feeling overwhelmed to prioritizing what truly matters in your life and experience newfound calm and fulfillment and take back your time. That is what Success Redefined looks like. If that is the vision of success that feels good, that feels like a hell yes, I'm sending you a landing page link where you can secure your spot for March right away. And if you still have questions, that's totally cool. I'm going to also send you a booking link so we can chat and I can answer any questions that you might have after today.